The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. My name is Marietta Valev, and I'm a representative of the Gateway to Global Aging Data, and we'll walk you through this useful tool we have created and how you can utilize it for your needs. Before we begin with the slides, I wanted to let you know that there are 3 ways in which we can communicate. You can type a question into the question box. You can also type your message into the chat box, and that will be available for the other users to see as well. Or you can raise your hand, and I will unmute you, after which you can ask your question. Let's begin with the slides. So what is the Gateway to Global Aging Data? It is a platform for population survey data on aging around the world, hosted by USC's Center for Economic and Social Research. It's a free public resource designed to facilitate cross-national and longitudinal studies on aging using the family of health and retirement studies around the world. The health and retirement studies are a group of surveys designed to collect information about aging in a similar way around the world. They are primarily conducted every 2 years with respondents who are approximately 50 years of age and older. Because the global population as a whole is aging, these studies are an excellent way to look at the effect of different policies on the aging population. I have included the name of the surveys and the year they began conducting interviews. HRS in the United States was the first study and has now been going on for over 25 years, having 13 waves of data, followed by Mexico, England, and a group of 20 or so countries in Europe, plus Israel for SHARE. SHARE has increased the number of participating countries ever since the first wave. Costa Rica and South Korea developed their own studies. These were followed by Japan and Indonesia. SAGE is conducted by WHO and includes China, Ghana, India, Mexico, the Russian Federation, and South Africa. Then Ireland and China started their own studies. Most recently, South Africa, Brazil, Scotland, and Northern Ireland began their own version of the HRS. And finally, LASI, which is a study in India that our center is helping to develop. Just a second, I have a question. We're actually in the process of updating. The question is, one of you was wondering when the 2014 CLOSA data would be harmonized. The answer to the question is we're actually currently working on creating the harmonized CLOSA data set, so it will be available as soon as we are done working on it. Sometime in the beginning of next year, we're hoping. Any other questions? Okay, I will continue. The HRS surveys are incredibly important because of the multidisciplinary subject matters, the steps that have been taken to ensure the quality of the economic data, and for the integration of biomarkers into those surveys, such as height, weight, waist circumference, blood pressure, and more, which could be used to back up self-reported data. The HRS surveys include not only demographic information like education and age, but also health information, including cognitive questions, physical functioning, and health behaviors. They also ask about health services, including insurance utilization and the cost associated with those. There are employment questions, including earnings, retirement, and pension information. Economic questions about both income and consumption, as well as wealth measures, are also part of the survey. There are questions on family structure, information such as the respondents' parents, children, the household structure, and the family exchanges. Because There are so many HRS family surveys and content areas, and more added all the time. We created the Gateway to Global Aging data available at g2aging.org. This is a centralized resource with the relevant information you need to easily learn more about and figure out how to utilize a health and retirement family study. The Gateway has an overview of the HRS family surveys, including the survey questionnaires and flowcharts that easily illustrate the skip patterns. And you can search the information by keywords or by topic. We have cross-study concordance tables of specific survey topics and in-depth documentation of cross-study comparability. We also have an interactive graphs and tables function, in which you can access instant statistics for the variables of interest without even having to download any data. The website also provides a large library of publications based on the HRS family surveys. And one of the most useful features we offer is the set of harmonized datasets for several of these surveys. Harmonized datasets are a user-friendly subset of the original data that includes the most frequently used variables, just like the run HRS is for the HRS. Let me show you our brand new survey page on the G2 Aging website. So if you just click on survey, you will be able to see all the surveys that are available listed over here horizontally, as well as all of the years in which the surveys were conveyed on our vertical axis. We refer to the years with W's. So, for example, W1 would be the first wave of ELSA, which was collected in 2002-2003. Let's click on one of the surveys. For example, Share Wave 2. Then you can see the survey questionnaire. The Gateway provides detailed information about all the parts of the survey, including the order of the modules and the order of the questions within the modules. Let's take a peek at behavioral risks. Here you can see a flowchart of questions regarding smoking. Flowcharts are an excellent way of showing the location of all the survey questions within the interview, and also how the question was asked and to whom. As a data user, this is helpful when figuring out missing values and that are resulting from the survey skip patterns or survey logic. Now, if you click on one of these questions, for example, smoke at present time, this will take you to a page which would show you the question as well as what values were available for the respondent to choose. If we go back home, sorry, there is a question. So someone asked whether you'd have to register for the data extraction. And the answer to this question is yes, you'd have to register, and you can do that by registering for our website and using a button that would allow you to register for all of the studies but ELSA. You'd also have to register for ELSA if you'd like to use that. And once you have been approved, you can go ahead and download both the original data sets and the harmonized data sets. Okay, let's continue by going home. On our brand new survey page, you can also search each of the surveys and the harmonized data sets by keyword. So if we click on the keywords, and imagine we're interested in smoking, so let's just type that. And search. You can see every variable from the harmonized data sets, which with the variable name, label, and answer coding. Oops. Spelling. Okay, and now you can actually see that there's a variable from the harmonized data sets, the variable name, label, and the answer coding. And every question from one of these surveys that contains the keyword sorted by survey, year, and module. The survey questions will have the question's label, the question text, and its original answer wording. We can also do searches based on a subtopic. So let's just quickly, if we select one of the surveys here, we can see what years that survey is available in, and the grayed out years would mean that the survey is not available during those years. So if we take a peek at ELSA, for example, here we'll see that it's available from 2002 to 2014. For now, I won't limit my search by a certain data set, but I will go ahead and select a few of the topics. So let's select number of children from the family and social network. Let's select BMI from health and current paid work from work. The results will show up sorted by study and module. You can easily collapse one module and then collapse another to explore the results. So those arrows will help you in doing so. So not only does the gateway has functions to browse the surveys and search the surveys and data sets, but we also have domain-specific concordance tables on a variety of subjects, which more generally show what variables are available for each survey and provide some of the differences for the variables between surveys. This makes it easy to compare measures between multiple waves of a single study or to compare measures for the same year across multiple studies. If we take a peek at our website and go to our Concordance tab, we can select a table on family contact. In this table, you will see that, for example, if we ask whether children coreside with the respondent, this question is available across all of the surveys. If we ask about the proximity of where children live, we'll see that that's also available in almost all surveys per JSTAR, and that the question is asked slightly differently within each survey. For example, HRS asks whether the children live within 10 miles, whereas MHAS and Charles ask whether children live within the same city. You can also look at HRS, for example, and notice that the question of any weekly contact was asked there from wave 3 to wave 12. We also have extensive documentation under our documentation tab. We have domain-specific user guides, which are incredibly detailed and in-depth comparison of the studies written by a researcher in a particular field. They include every applicable question in every HRS survey, and suggest how different researchers deal with differences between the surveys. We also provide links to some helpful documents in our most recent interactive webinars. The slides from this webinar, as well as the video, will be available on our website and in this section within 24 hours. Let's take a peek at the documents. So you can see we have some brochures and links to the different webinars that we have had in the past, and the most recent one, as I mentioned, would be uploaded shortly as well. Next, we offer interactive graphs and tables. You can select the countries, years, and topic that you want to include. You can even filter the results by age brackets, age ranges, gender, and several other characteristics. And these vary based on whether you're looking at an individual level or a household level variable. These produce weighted population statistics with standard errors to correct for the complex survey designs. You don't need to download any data to use this feature, and your results are almost instantaneous. So let's take a peek. Once you're in graphs and tables, you can see that there currently are two graphs, one for England and for the US, for 4 different age groups that show whether individuals were working for pay between 2002 and 2014. And just looking at this chart, you can see a few patterns emerge. But let's make one from scratch. If you press on reset, you can make your own selections. So I'm going to pick ever had diabetes from health. And now I will take a look at the US, China, England, and Mexico. I'm interested in 2012, and I would like to look at individuals in the group 55 to 75 years old by gender. Once you press on go, your chart is generated. At first glance, you can notice that it seems like more people have diabetes in Mexico and the US than in China and England. Let me point out a few of the features of this graph. If you hover over any of the bars, you would notice that there's the population estimate. So 0.7% of Chinese male have been diagnosed with diabetes by 2012. You can also zoom in by right-clicking on your mouse and letting go, and that would zoom into your 95% confidence intervals. You can also unclick one of the subgroups, and this would provide you with a chart displaying only the other subgroups. So right now we're just looking at women, and if we click back on men, they're back on our graph. You can also download this graph by clicking at the 3 horizontal bars on the top right corner, and there are 4 different ways in which you can do this. This graph also comes with all of the notes needed. So it would explain how variables were weighted and basically how the statistics were compiled that are displayed. And it would also, we do ask that you cite to the gateway using the citation here. You can also look at those results in a table format, and those would display the population estimates, the standard errors, and the numbers of participants that were involved in the questionnaire in order to get those statistics. And you can take a peek at the results in a map form and switch between subpopulations here. Right now we're looking at men, but you can also look at the map for women. Please notice that here more countries are displayed and not just the 4 we initially selected, but basically the data for all countries that have that question available is displayed in the map. We also offer an easy way to find publications based on the HRS family of surveys. You can search for surveys and topics or search by title, author, source, and year. So let's take a peek at the website. Imagine we're interested in seeing which of the articles have used Charles, and specifically, we're interested in the topic of cognition. So this will display all of the articles that have used the Charles data in cognition. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about each one of them, you can click on the plus sign, and that would have a link to the direct link to the article if one is available, and a link to Google Scholar, as well as some more information if that's available. This search function is similar to Google Scholar, but the advantage of this one is that you can actually figure out which data set was used in the paper without having to read through it. And I just noticed that someone had asked whether you could save the graphs in Word or Excel. And I believe I already covered that question by showing you the 3 horizontal bars up on top and the available formats. The tables could also be saved. I think I missed to tell you that, in a couple of formats, and that's available in the Tables tab on the upper left corner. Let me show you real quick. Over here, you can do Excel or PDF. Okay, back to publications. I believe we covered all of that. And finally, we offer harmonized datasets for several of the HRS family surveys. The harmonized datasets contain a subset of the surveys, which is the most easily comparable between different years and different studies, or the most commonly used variables. These are released as a single dataset that includes all available waves, which are, and an individual is represented by a single record. When we create the variables for these datasets, we define them as similarly as possible to the RAND HRS. So like the RAND HRS, we have R or S to indicate if it is the respondent or the spouse, followed by the wave number and the variable name. For example, R1 work indicates whether the respondent is working in wave 1, and R2 work represents whether the spouse is working in wave 2. While ideally all measures are perfectly comparable across surveys, there can be differences in question wording or in cultural norms that render the measures similar but not identical. In this case, we end the variable name with an underscore and the first letter or two of the survey's initials to indicate that it is not comparable. For example, labor force status in Charles has a different response scale than the one used in the RAND HRS. So we call the variable R1LBRF_C, which is the respondent's labor force status in wave 1 of Charles. In order to harmonize these surveys, we often have to take into account several questions because of survey skip patterns. For example, in order to know whether the respondent is currently smoking, we have to include information from whether the respondent ever smoked and whether they're smoking at the present time. While this is a pretty simple harmonization, there can be a lot more complex ones included that are needed as well. Here is an example of a complex harmonization. In this example, In order to get a value for the amount of household savings in the first wave of JSTAR, we have to take into account a series of questions from the CAPI and from the self-completion questionnaire. This would normally take a new programmer several weeks of work to complete, and savings is only one component of the total household assets. As such, by taking into account the survey's key patterns, the harmonized datasets we offer can save researchers and programmers months of time. Along with each harmonized dataset, we offer an accompanying codebook. The codebooks include a brief overview of the statistics of each variable, including the variable label. Here, we can see the waves that the variables are available for, and we can see respondent and spouse level variables. You can also see a short summary of some of the descriptive statistics. And the categorical variables codes associated with each variable, including special missing values, to provide more information about why a variable may be missing. The codebook also details exactly how the variable was created and any assumptions that were made in order for us to create the variable. As well as highlighting any differences between the waves and any differences between this variable and the round HRS variable. Lastly, the codebook lists all the variables from the original datasets that were used in creating the harmonized variable. We do all of this so that researchers can feel totally comfortable using these harmonized datasets and comparing variables between the datasets. Here is a list of the current available harmonized data files. As you can see, we have a harmonized datasets for the US called the Harmonized HRS. This data isn't like other ones because it is meant to be a supplement for the RAND HRS and has variables that the RAND HRS doesn't already have. It's best used in conjunction with the RAND HRS. But we also have datasets that are comparable to the RAND HRS for Mexico, England, Europe, Costa Rica, South Korea, Japan, Ireland, China, and the pilot study for India. And we're adding new waves and new studies as soon as they become available. These harmonized datasets are either distributed directly through the gateway or by the original study. So you can go on our download page, and you can see the top row here provides link to the original study websites where you can download the original survey data. The second row provides links to download the harmonized datasets. In the cases of Share and Closa, the data files are created by the users based on a data code provided by the gateway. So once you have registered with the original study and downloaded the raw data files, you can run the creation program to end up with a harmonized dataset for these studies on your own. We have provided codebooks and the data creation programs for each harmonized datasets in the third and the fourth row respectively, and the datasets can be converted into any other format using a program such as Step Transfer. The best part is the wealth of information that is available here entirely free. You can access anything on our website, and if you want to download anything, all you need to do is register. Registering for our website is very quick and easy. All you need to do is choose Register in the upper right-hand corner of the website and enter your information as well as confirm your email. There are many benefits, some including that you can download documentation or access the harmonized datasets. You will also receive updates when we add a new wave or a new study. And every time we have a webinar or we're going to be present at a conference, we will email you and let you know about that. You will also help us prove that we're being a valuable resource. I also wanted to share with you how you can cite our data and code books. And I have included a text that you can include to do so, but also wanted to remind you that each one of our harmonized code books will offer the same citation on page 2. Thank you for listening. Please visit us at g2aging.org, and we hope that the Gateway to Global Aging data can be a helpful resource to you. I just wanted to let you know that we will also have an advanced data webinar focusing on stress variables in the HRS and ELSA on Tuesday, December the 4th, and you can register at g2aging.org/webinar. We also have a help desk, and you can email us anytime at help@g2aging.org. I am going to take a look at your questions now. I wanted to answer Rustan's question and let him know that the files are wide, so one line represents one individual in the survey, and longitudinal weights are available depending on surveys. If the survey does include them, then our harmonized dataset would include them as well. There is a question of whether we can merge the harmonized datasets. So generally, you would not like to merge the datasets because they contain different individuals. However, the names of the variables are the same, so you can easily stack the datasets and make your comparisons once the dataset is stacked. In general, when we talk about health measures, there are standardized scales, of course, translated into the different languages in which the survey has been conveyed. But the scales should be the same so that the variables are comparable. And there is a question as to whether we have any projections available on the website. We do not. Any other questions? And William, you were asking whether there are any plans about harmonization across the different data sets and countries. So this is basically what we do by providing the harmonized data set is we do want to have the same variable available for every survey country so that you can compare those data sets, but those variables within the data sets. But would you elaborate any further if that doesn't answer your question? And Kathy Lee is asking whether if she has a different data set, we could answer the question. If it is anything to do with the gateway, we'll be more than happy to help you. However, if it's a data set that we don't work with, we probably won't have the expertise to help. Are there any other questions? Thank you everyone for attending. We have a survey that you would receive an email for, if you don't mind filling that out, that'd be very helpful. And also, again, if you have any further questions, please feel free to email us at help@g2aging.org. Thank you once more and have a great day. Bye.